We got started in 2013. By 2015, we were government contractors. And by 2015, we had no clue what we were doing. So we thumbed our way and felt our way through the dark world of government contracting. And the truth of the matter is we didn't even know what cybersecurity was, right? So it's not our wheelhouse. A few years after we got started in government contracting, we got introduced into the event production space in the government contracting arena. And we worked with another company south of Virginia who focused most of their work in the DoD military space. And we wanted to bring the brand north to our area because we felt there was a great need for collective events. We knew they were successful up here. We wanted something that was going to be involved in government contracting and small business development. That's the other, focus of our mission, because there's a lot of small businesses out there that don't know that there's a ton of no-cost and low-cost resources provided by state, federal, and local agencies. So when I keep looking down here, I'm not reading anything, I'm just trying to keep pace. So if I mess up, tell me. So when we got involved in this, we ended up getting involved in that small business development space, which is, by rights, is part of government contracting. You have to be a prepared small business in order to be a good government contractor. And through those events that we've held, we ended up meeting Stan and Alex of the NJCRC, who wanted to put together a cybersecurity event. And we were like, wow, that is brilliant, because we didn't think about it. We didn't even think about cybersecurity. And then we did a little research, and we found out how friggin' important it is to be secure. I did a little more research, and I did some deep dive into what they steal and sell on the dark web, and I was like, wow, they're stealing from me. And I'm a small business that thinks I don't have a need for security. I'm thinking my little Apple firewall is going to protect me and my stuff. So we jumped at the opportunity to put together this event with the NJCRC, and of course this is backed by the SBA and BCT partners, as well as our host sponsor, Kean University, and one of our guest sponsors, Different Systems, who's got a pretty awesome demo they're going to put together. And like I said before we started this, when the people, the stragglers, come in, give them dirty looks, because they're going to keep us after school. So just a couple quick announcements. We have a major event happening in November called Procurement Con. It's a 2-night, 2-day event, or it could be a 1-day event for you, whatever you want it to be. If you've attended here today, there is a board out in the lobby area that has a promo code that gives you 50% off the event, and that's 50% off pretty much on everything at the event. That includes the room. So if you want to stay and enjoy our time there. And also at that event, I will be debuting with my partner, Mark, and my other partner, Rafael Mata, our new 501c3, the National Center for Local Business and Workforce Development, which is a not-for-profit focused on creating community hubs for small business development for businesses that need the help, and where the government stops, we pick up. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Professor Stan Mierzwa. I don't have your full title here, but he is like my boss right now. And he's a professor here at the university and one of the, I guess, co-directors or founders of the New Jersey CyberSecurity Regional Cluster. Come on up here, Stan.
Thanks. Well, good morning, everyone, and I'm happy to be here, and welcome to all of you who are here for the first time to Kean University. I often hear, wow, it's a beautiful campus. Well, having a beautiful day, it's gorgeous outside today, makes it all the better, right? I think there's nothing worse than having to go to an event if the weather isn't good. So, just briefly, I am a member of the NJCRC, the New Jersey Cybersecurity Regional Cluster. You'll learn a little bit more about that today. And I want to thank the U.S. Small Business Administration. It is because of them that we're able to host this for small businesses, but it isn't just for small businesses, right? This is an event focused on securing businesses, securing small businesses that actually want to one day be a big business. And in order to do that, you need to sustain. And quite honestly, you need to secure your environment so that you can grow. I think we have a little bit of everything here today for everyone. For students, and we will see students, I see a few already here in the audience. Thank you for waking up early. As I often say to my students, if you show up to an event or an activity, something may happen. Right? There might be something that happens, but if you don't show up, chances are pretty high that nothing will happen. So it means a lot to me to see some of you here already early today, and we will have some classes coming in throughout the course of the day. So for students, I want to point out we do have a Kean University graduate from CrowdStrike who will be speaking to you, and I think that's valuable, quite honestly. CrowdStrike is a multi-billion-dollar organization that's received some news over the past year, probably not in the best light, right? But they are still formidable in the cyber world, and quite honestly, I think they've handled, maybe hear a little bit about it, some of the challenges they had this year. So listen to the story of our Kean University graduate who will speak to us, because one day it might be you up here speaking and presenting, and I think you should always see yourself in these sorts of opportunities. Let's see, for small businesses, we will have an assortment of talks. And think critically about the talks. Listen in on how it might relate to your small businesses. And I encourage you to speak to the vendors that we have here today, and thank you to those who are hosting tables. For the higher education professionals, there's a lot of content that could be relevant. We will be speaking about something called CMMC, another cyber acronym. Yes, there's lots of acronyms. I tell students all the time there are acronyms in every field. So that there's content there that is very relevant to higher education as well, because, well, certainly higher education institutions maintain information that's extremely private and what they often consider perhaps controlled unclassified information, meaning it could be information that's important first to the individuals, but also it might be information that the government sees as important because it could be grant-related information, for example. Let's see, we have some, for the DoD contractors, I know we have DoD, they just showed up, Department of Defense. They are often, the CMMC content is extremely relevant to DoD contractors. So for you contractors, I say pay attention to CMMC content today, because you will need to meet compliance of CMMC in the next year or two. Let's see, federal and state agencies, we have a few here today that will speak. We're grateful to them. And for just general attendees, I think soak it in. There's always something to gain from an event like this. And meet new people, you know, and I think I've already met several new people today, put together a few faces to speak together, and I already heard about some possible collaboration, so I think that's really important. Finally, first of all, does that sound good to everyone? Yes. Yeah, right? Yes. Well, thank you. Okay. I don't want to take too much time. I want to introduce our next speaker who will help open up the event. Greg Bellotti is our Vice President, and he's our Chief Information Officer and Chief Information Security Officer at Kean University. Greg is doing a terrific job. He's transforming our information technology department. And when I asked Greg, would he come and speak to this community, he said, of course. And to me, that just shows tremendous collaboration along the lines of different units here at the university. So, Greg, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for coming out. And I give you Greg Bellotti, Vice President of IT.
So, good morning, everyone. I hate standing behind a podium. So, first of all, welcome to Kean University. If you haven't been here before, please this campus. This campus has transformed over the years, and I think what you'll find is a place where many people can come, people from different walks of life, and have opportunities for success, which is very important. I know no one came here to hear me speak, so we will keep this brief. But I did have this thought. I remember being a young boy and saving up money to get a bicycle. I grew up in the city. And I saved up all this money, and I said, Dad, take me, I want to go get a bike. He said, great. So we get to the bike store, and I knew what I wanted. And I was like, this is it. And then the guy said, you know you need to buy a helmet. I said, okay, let's get a helmet. He said, you know, if you want to keep that bike, you need a lock. Okay, let's get a lock. He said, you know, there's a lot of stuff on the roads, and for $10 extra, when you get a flat, you can bring it here, and we'll fix your flat. And when I finally added it all up, then he told me about tax. So I got this whole kind of the future happened in that bike store where I realized that what I wanted to start with and what I ended up with were two semi-different things. And that's the way I feel now when you're talking about running enterprise computing for a university. There's all these things that we want to do, but then there's all these other things that we have to do. You know, we have this, we're blessed, and we have this university, we have a couple campuses in New Jersey, and we have a campus in China, which brings a whole bunch of other things and nuances to what we have to do here for our university to protect our data, to protect our people, just to protect everything. And no one started a university saying, we can't wait to have this big bald guy come here and spend all of our money on cybersecurity and protecting data assets, right? So we try to understand the mission, and I think that's the message here is make sure you understand your mission and what you're trying to do. Protect the best you can. And I don't think that there's ever an amount of money you can spend where you can say I'm 100% protected, because it just doesn't happen. So how do we manage risk? How do we protect the things that we need to protect? How do we remain compliant? And I would say that if there's one thing to take away, right, I think that the most important thing now, because technology is so prevalent, and the opportunities for technology are so prevalent, that it's what happens in this room, it's the relationships, it's the people you can call, it's the conversations you can have that become really the differentiators between good and great, right? It comes back to the people. So we've kind of come full circle. We're nobody knew computing. Now everyone knows computing, and the most important thing is understanding how to talk to people. So take the time, speak to people, form those relationships, understand what people can do for you, and understand your risk and how you protect your risk. So that's kind of my spiel. At Kean University, we are going through a transformation, and I understand reference that. So for people involved with technology, this is a really exciting time to be here, because we're basically ripping the covers off. We're doing a frame-off restoration. For people who are users, they're not so happy because it includes a lot of change, and we have to manage that. So a lot of communication, a lot of hands on the shoulders, and don't worry, we go through this. So that's what we're doing here, and we're quite excited about that. And I think that when you talk about, and you look at the landscape of what's happening in technology, there's lots of people you can partner with, lots of people you can talk to. And I have a pleasure to bring up the next speaker here, Dr. Pinkett. And if you don't know Dr. Pinkett, you'll get to know him really quick, right? Very well accomplished. Not only is he tall, well-dressed, and handsome, but what you'll find out is a person with great character, a person who's in it for the right reason, right? And a person who can actually do the job. So without further ado, I want to introduce the next speaker, Dr. Pinkett. You want this, or you want to?
We'll figure it out.
You can just turn it on.
All right. Give Greg a round of applause. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to this BizCon cybersecurity conference. I want to give a couple of shout outs before I even get into my remarks.
First, I want to give a shout out to Eric Vincent from Black Inc. for his leadership, his opening remarks, for his support. Make sure you get to Atlantic City for ProcureCon, because if you want contracts, that's the place to be. I want to give a shout to Stan Mierzwa, who has been a friend and partner in this New Jersey cybersecurity regional cluster work between my firm, BCT, and Kean, and the New Jersey Small Business Development Center and the SBA. It's a whole cluster initiative, and it's been an absolute joy working with Stan and Alex Rivera and the entire team at Kean, who has worked behind the scene and around the scene and in front of the scene to bring these kinds of events to the cluster. So give Stan and Kean a big round of applause. And Greg Bellotti, who I've known for decades, we have a mutual friend who played football at Rutgers. I went to Rutgers. And to have reconnected with him, where'd Greg go? Where is he? Yeah, to reconnected with Greg after so many years, and to see him in a leadership role at Kean, running the IT department and running cyber and doing all the great things he's doing. And you well-dressed too, bro. I see you. give Greg a round of applause as well. And then last but not least, one of our other key partners in the cluster is a small business run by a dear friend, Covenant Business Concepts, which is run by Willie Mae Veazey, who I've known as well for many, many years. She runs our Small Business Accelerator program, which just had its graduation a week ago. Yes. I was there, Stan was there. It was here on Kean's campus, right across the street, literally. And so, Willie Mae, just wave your hands so they can give a round of applause for all your work. Appreciate you and your leadership and your participation in this work. No, thank you. So, real quick, for a little bit of background on me. So I come here today wearing two hats. The first hat is as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner. I have been in business for 35 years. I started my first business when I was a student at Rutgers, along with 3 of my college classmates. And we have been together now for 35 years as friends and as business partners. Willie Mae Veazey knows my partners, and I'm proud to say after 35 years we still get along as well. But I'm here as a fellow small business owner wanting to learn how to protect my own business. And as a company that is providing management consulting, IT consulting, data analytics, that's what we do. Cybersecurity and protecting information and data is exactly what we have to be thinking about every day. But the second hat I wear, as Stan knows and as Willie Mae knows, is my firm, BCT Partners, has a contract with the SBA to run the New Jersey Cybersecurity Regional Cluster. So we brought in all the partners I've mentioned, and we are now finishing up the first year of a 5-year contract, and we do lots of government contracting at BCT. So we're trying to build out a cybersecurity, or grow a cybersecurity cluster here in New Jersey, which involves academia, government, small business, private sector, et cetera. And you'll be hearing more and seeing more about this work. And for year 2, we're expanding beyond just IT and cyber into AI as well. So if you want to learn more, certainly approach me, approach Willie Mae, approach Stan, and we're happy to share more about the work that we're doing. But to my remarks, I want to speak to a particular theme, and as I reflect on 35 years in IT and data and cyber that I've been in this game, what's been far more valuable than the things that we've done have been the ways that we think. And Greg gave a little bit of a narrative around the mindset, and so I want to talk to you from my time this morning to the following theme, the innovator's mindset. The innovator's mindset. And before I talk about the mindset of an innovator, because I believe the work we do in cybersecurity is about innovation, and it's about navigating cybersecurity requirements that often need us to be innovative in order to do it. CMMC and the list goes on. But I want to talk about a trend that sets the stage for the mindset before I talk about the mindset. And that trend is no stranger to this audience, and it's a very simple trend. Increasing proliferation of technology. I'm preaching to the choir. But we're living in an increasingly technological society. I need not tell you what you already know. I look back from CDs to DVDs to MP3s to PSPs to HD TVs, and from iTunes to iPhones to iPads to iPhones. Sometimes I wish that I had some eye time for eye peace and eye quiet to get some eye sleep. Somebody said, I heard that. But our world is radically different today than it was just a few decades ago. When I graduated Rutgers, my first job was at AT&T Bell Laboratories. Okay, you all remember AT&T Bell Labs. And back then, in the mid-1990s, we used to run these commercials that were meant to be futuristic. They were meant to predict this distant future that would someday arrive. And in the commercial, we would say, have you ever paid a toll without stopping? Have you ever read a book from 1,000 miles away? Have you ever tucked in your baby from a phone booth? And have you ever sent a fax from the beach? And then it would fade to black and it would say, well, you will. And AT&T will bring it to you. Think about it. We have all of that. Not just today, we had that years ago. Send a fax from, in fact, no one sends faxes, but if you were, you can send it from the beach. You don't go down the turnpike now and have to stop unless you didn't bother to get Easy Pass. You can tuck in your baby from your cell phone, forget about a pay phone, and you can read a book that's 1,000 miles away. In fact, the only thing that didn't come true is that AT&T didn't bring all of it to you. That's the one thing we missed with all that futuristic thinking. But that reality is not immune to the industry of cybersecurity, that we've seen those same accelerated advancements in cybersecurity. We see it today with blockchain, with its decentralized nature, improving security and transparency of data transactions. We see it with AI and machine learning, enabling faster and more accurate threat detection. We see it with extended detection and response, XDR, providing a comprehensive approach to threat detection and response by integrating data from multiple security products into a single system. And we see it with privacy-enhancing technologies, or PETs, which offer innovative solutions to protect personal information while still allowing for data analysis and data use. What are the implications of this trend of increasing use of technology? The implications are we live in a world where the only thing constant is change. And we live in a world where the only thing you can count on is change and more change. Those who are able to keep pace with hyper-accelerated change fueled by technology will be competitive in this landscape. Those who cannot will not. You can accept this or move to the 51st state of the union, the state of denial. So the sum total of this trend, as I've described it, which you all are no stranger to, is that they are not temporary shifts, but fundamental changes in how the technology marketplace functions. I've got news for you, Toto. I have a feeling that we are not in Kansas anymore. We live in a new era with new challenges, but also new possibilities that requires new ways of thinking, new mindsets. And the mindset I'm here to describe to you is the mindset of an innovator. To counteract hyper-accelerated change fueled by technology, we must embrace the innovator's mindset to be able to do so. So what is the innovator's mindset? I'm glad you asked. Let me first define innovation. Innovation, simply defined, is the introduction of something new. Simply defined. A new process, a new technology, a new approach, a new methodology, that is innovation defined. What is the innovator's mindset? The innovator's mindset is having a healthy acceptance of failure as the only pathway to innovation. 3 principles of failure. First, failure says nothing about you. As they say, it's not personal, it's business. Second, if you've lived long enough, you'll agree with this. You learn more from failure than you do from success. That's how often children learn, by failing, even despite our attempts to prevent them from the failure. Third principle of failure is a quote from Winston Churchill. Success is nothing more than going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Which means that the connecting line between failure and innovation, or failure and success, or failure and growth is perseverance. If you're willing to go at it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, then you will innovate. But how many of us are willing, accepting, and encouraging of failure over and over and over again? By a show of hands, how many of you have heard of WD-40? Okay, who knows the story of WD-40? Okay, I got 2.5 hands. One hand went up and down. So this is, I got off of Wikipedia, so it must be true. I also got it from their website. But WD-40 was founded by 3 people who wanted to create a line of rust prevention solvents and degreasers for the aerospace industry. Now, if you know how to prevent rust, you know that rust forms when water is present. To prevent rust, you must therefore displace water. WD-40 stands for Water Displacement Perfected on the 40th try. It took them 40 attempts to get it right. It gets better. How many of you have heard of Formula 409? You must see where I'm going. Please tell me you see where I'm going. Formula 409. Formula 409 got its name from failure. Its name comes from persistence. 2 young scientists wanted to create the ultimate cleansing agent. Only when they had created the 409th formula did they finally get it right. 409 attempts. I'd have given up on the 10th try. No, I'd have thrown in the towel on the 100th try. No, I'd have given up the white flag on the 408th formula. 409 formulas. What's the lesson? BizCon. Do not let a setback hold you back, because a setback is a setup for a comeback. If there is no risk, there is no reward. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. If there is no pain, there is no gain. If there is no test, there is no testimony. If there is no trouble, there is no triumph. If there are no problems, then there is no power. No disappointment, no discipline, which means sometimes you have to go through in order to grow through, which means nothing ventured, nothing gained. You don't believe? Then don't bother. So go hard or go home, because failure isn't falling down, failure is staying down. Amen. I got it. Amen. Or said more simply, to win without risk is to triumph without glory. I'll give you a quick example. A little case study. If you know Cloudflare, cybersecurity firm that achieved innovation through failure. They offer a content delivery network, a CDN, and a distributed denial of service, a DDoS protection service, but they only arrived at success through many challenges and many iterations. Early on, Cloudflare faced challenges in building a scalable solution for defending against massive distributed denial of service, DDoS, attacks, while maintaining high performance for their users. Their initial solution struggled with balancing speed and security, found it difficult to handle large-scale attacks effectively. However, they continuously iterated their algorithms, continuously improved on their infrastructure, and failed in their defense mechanisms over and over again, but learned from the failure. Eventually, persistence paid off when they successfully repelled one of the largest DDoS attacks in history, proving their technology's resilience. They expanded their services to include edge computing platforms, comprehensive solutions to modern cyber threats, and now their story shows how repeated attempts and learning from mistakes can lead to breakthroughs in cybersecurity. So how do you make this mindset practical as I close out my remarks? You do 3 things. First, to my fellow business owners, you take risks. Let me say it differently. People are not afraid of failure. People are afraid of the consequences of failure. Remove the consequence. Say it's okay to fail. It's okay to make a mistake. In fact, I'm encouraging you to make a mistake. Remove the consequence. Unleash their innovative potential. So first, take risks and create a culture of encouraging failure. Second, fail fast. You've heard it before. You're hearing it again today. You don't get any extra credit for failing long. The faster you fail, the faster you get to the lesson. And then third and finally, pivot faster. Take a risk, fail fast, pivot faster, because the faster you fail and the faster you pivot, the faster you get to the innovation. So in closing, let me tie this all together and go to my seat. I talked about a trend of ever-evolving technology and this new landscape needing a new mindset, and that mindset being the innovator's mindset. If I could sum up my message to you, BizCon, in one word and one word only, that word would be commitment. As Greg said, this stuff comes with its unexpected twists and turns. You want to buy a bicycle, you end up spending twice the amount. It's about accepting and embracing very basic principles. Accepting failure as the only path to innovation. Taking risks, failing fast, pivoting faster, and stepping out of our comfort zone into uncharted territory. It's about a paradigmatic shift to embracing these principles, not someday, but Monday. And I will close my remarks with one final quote, which I believe captures the spirit of my message I hope to leave with you this morning. And that quote is the following: if you want to innovate, to change an enterprise or a society, it takes people willing to do what's not expected. So let's recommit ourselves today at BizCon 2024 to the innovator's mindset and to doing what is not expected to produce innovations that were never imagined. God bless you, and thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Lower this microphone here. How about another round of applause for Dr. Mann? Unbelievable. I feel I have a lot of feelings right now, but one is inspired, but I learned a whole lot, right? A lot of times we attend these conferences and you look for content that's relevant to you, that you learn from. That was just tremendous, tremendous. And I'm glad it is being recorded. Thank you. I failed to say this earlier. Our Kean TV department that's being managed by students is here today recording these talks and remarks. And I think this will be something that I hope we can share with the entire campus community and others going forward. So. That was just tremendous. We have our next speaker, and goodness, I'm so happy that he joined us here today. Stephen Colagero, Jr., who's an executive at CrowdStrike, is a Kean University graduate. I got to know Stephen over the past several years. I don't even remember how we first got connected, but we were emailing. I think I reached out. Oh, I remember now. I reached out to CrowdStrike. I was doing a lesson. It was one of our modules on endpoint protection. And I thought, well, CrowdStrike is a major player in this area, and let me see if I can get somebody from CrowdStrike to come and speak to my class. I try to bring in professionals routinely for a lecture, a specific lecture, and Stephen, I got connected through CrowdStrike, I think reaching out to their general 1-800 number, and he agreed, and we started a relationship. Stephen began to discuss with me where he can add value, and he really wanted to get in front of students. He felt it was important to him. So when this event came up and we were looking for notable people to come up and speak, just like we had from Dr. Pinkett, Stephen was asked, I asked him to come, and he said, I'd be happy to come and speak. on two fronts. One, to the small business community, right? We're here focused on those small businesses today through this SBA effort and the New Jersey Cybersecurity Regional Cluster, but also to the students that are here. And I know we don't have a ton yet. I have an 11 o'clock class today, and they're to come here instead of going to class. So I know they'll be here a little bit later as well. So I welcome to the stage Stephen Colagera Jr.
Plug going. Oh, here we are.
We got action. This was a work in progress, I gotta tell you. And I can't take all the credit for it because the other half of my brain is my engineer, Mark Rivera, and he was helping me do this in the back of the room just to finalize it before I got here. My name is Steve Calogero. Thank you for having me at BizCon 2024. It is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, so I wanted to throw that on the intro slide.
Oh, we missed that.
I'm a 5-year CrowdStriker. I represent the enterprise here in New York, New Jersey. I've worked here for 5 years, class of 2011 here at Kean University. And 18 years ago, with a full head of hair, this is me. Top right corner is Dougal, top left corner is Socio, and I am a new Sigma Phi Brother representative. So who knows what CrowdStrike is? Raise a hand. How many of you are students and how many of you own small businesses? Small businesses, raise your hand. How many of you are students? Awesome. It's awesome to see students here. Stan's right. One of the most important things about coming back here is having a chance to talk to the students. So a little bit about CrowdStrike, and this is kind of an intense slide, but we are the world's first cloud-native endpoint security platform. Say that all real fast at one time. And there's a lot that makes up CrowdStrike. The CrowdStrike AI native XDR platform is really cybersecurity's AI consolidator. It's purpose-built to stop breaches. The platform is a revolutionary single lightweight agent, collects and integrates data from across the enterprise, including endpoints, cloud workloads, identities, third-party sources. It does this by unifying disparate data, all different types of data sets from organizations, and building conversational AI and automation on top. Security teams have the ability to ask the question and all questions of data and drive automation across the entire security operation and gain speed required to beat the modern adversary. Because in CrowdStrike, we believe you don't have a malware problem, you have an adversary problem. The platform consolidates and replaces legacy point products across key areas of security and IT. The Falcon platform delivers a unified, modern approach, and it reduces complexity. With industry-leading end-to-end services, customers have the ability to trust that CrowdStrike can help them prepare and fortify their defenses, manage their end-to-end operations, and quickly recover from incidents if the worst happens. Now, despite what happened in July 19th, we're still the best cybersecurity company in the world. Trusted by businesses of all sizes, from the largest and the most prestigious enterprises to small business. I'm very fortunate to cover the enterprise, but I started in the small business. In fact, I started making cold calls, 200 a day, as an SDR to the small business, and then slowly graduated over the course of a decade into the small businesses and account executive, from there into mid-markets, from there into SLED enterprises, and then into the full-fledged enterprise. We are trusted by 7 out of the 10 major financial service firms in the world. We cover 7 of the 10 largest food and beverage companies on the planet. We are in 9 of 10 major auto manufacturers. We cover 7 of the 10 largest manufacturing companies on the planet. We are in 6 of the 10 largest healthcare, and the list goes on. 293 of the Fortune 500, 514 of the Fortune 1000, and so on and so forth. But don't just take my word for it. Let's listen to what the pros have to say. You've seen some of these names before. Gartner, Forrester, continuously recognized as not just a leader, but the leader. And I think that's important. The leader in cybersecurity across all major analysts leading third-party testing and certifications for highly regulated environments. This picture speaks for itself. CrowdStrike is a leader. In 2023's Gartner Magic Quadrant for EPP, this is last year's slide, the new one's getting made now, but we just made the leader for Gartner's 2024 Magic Quadrant as well as a leader in 2024 Forrester Wave for CWS, positioned highest in strategy and achieving the highest possible scores of vision and innovation. These are only two of the absolutely dominant positions that we've achieved across all major categories and analyst firms. We achieve 100% protection, 100% visibility, 100% analytic detection coverage in the enterprise, round 5 evaluation, which equates to 100% prevention in stopping breaches for a known adversary. But we also achieve the highest detection coverage in managed security service providers testing against completely unknown adversary, which is an uncharted territory. And of course, we're proud to also represent that we received a perfect score in this year's and last year's SE Labs testing. But why am I telling this to all of you? Because even though I cover the enterprise, my heart is in the small business. Last year, we identified 34 additional new adversaries tracked by CrowdStrike, which raises our bar to 232. 84 all attacks were related to e-crime, ransomware, extortion, exfiltration, and 110% increase in cloud-based attacks have increased year over year. And the thing that I want you to pay attention to most is what comes from our Global Threat Report. If you haven't actually seen our Global Threat Report before, please take an opportunity to download it. It is free. Unfortunately, many SMBs believe that they're too small to be targeted by cyber criminals, and nothing could be further from the truth. The fact is, 70% of all cyber attacks target the SMB, and the average cost of a data breach for the small business is $2.98 million. And this comes from our Global Threat Report. Here's a couple things that we can take a look at. I was going to put stuff from IDC in here, and I was driving myself crazy to find some statistics. So I went to the almighty Google, and I said, Google, AI, tell me some cybersecurity statistics in small business in 2024, and it spit out a ton of stuff. But worth noting, a couple reliable sources over here to the right: Asher Security, Cybercrime Magazine, Terranova Security, CrowdStrike. I highlighted a couple because these are just some of the threats. But cybersecurity preparedness, only 14% of all small businesses actually believe that their cybersecurity posture is effective. 83% of small businesses don't even have a disaster recovery plan. Cybersecurity costs, on average, the small business spends between $826, it's never that cheap, and $653,000 in cybersecurity incidents. And the cybersecurity breach, 95% of breaches are attributed to human error. You're going to see some cool artwork here, and these are adversaries. And so if you're familiar with CrowdStrike products and services, you go on our website, you see a lot of really awesome artwork like this. What we've done is we've tied adversaries from around the world, like APT 26594, which nobody knows what it is, and we've given it identity. And so what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about some of the most common attacks to the small business, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about the identity that goes attached to it. So looking here into malware, everybody knows what malware is. And then looking into phishing, right? The most common types of SMB attacks, phishing is usually one of the most prevalent to the SMB. This is known as scattered spider. They're the most affected adversary today when it comes to phishing and smishing. You probably saw their name a lot last year across the news. They single-handedly brought MGM to their knees, and so they've made a really good name for themselves. Ransomware, this is Injure Spider, known to deploy many versions of ransomware, known as a ransomware as a service for anyone who can just subscribe to attack your SMB. This is insider threats. This is known as famous Chalima. They come from North Korea. They're an insider threat specialty with false interviews. And of course, weak passwords. This is known as Bitwise Spider, known for Trojans. They steal your passwords, they sell them to the dark web. And this is one of my favorite slides. These are other common types of cyber attacks, but every single one of these is another cyber adversary that we track from around the world. Spear phishing, baiting, quid pro quo, pretexting, tailgating, and of course, my favorite, DDoS. Small businesses are 350% more likely to receive threats than large companies. Common targets include the CEO, the CFO, executive assistants, and more, and that comes from Security Scorecard last year. So the real question is, what can you do? So I think this slide's pretty easy to understand, and I think for a lot of us, it's easy to talk through too. But I think the first thing starts with employee training. Employee training is paramount, and if you're not keeping your employees up to date on best practices in cybersecurity, you're already a step behind, considering our greatest adversary groups are teaching their children in grade school. Employee training is so important. Educating employees on security best practices such as using strong passwords and following internet use guidelines, as well as keeping software up to date, that's super important. Having up-to-date applications and systems that are continuously at the software level where they're supposed to be is going to help protect against viruses and malware. Firewalls. Using firewalls to protect your network from unauthorized access. Next-gen firewalls have the ability to automatically block threats and use machine learning to detect malicious behavior. Doing your backups on a regular basis. Regularly doing your backups to critical working systems and testing those backups to ensure that they work. MFA, using multi-factor authentication for all accounts, including social media accounts. Having an incident response plan. Develop a real plan for responding to cybersecurity incidents, including a designated response for team with clear communication channels. Doing patch management. Use patch management tools, he laughed at that. Using patch management tools to automate the process of applying software updates and prioritizing vulnerabilities. And of course, remote users. Using smart access, using remote access to allow users and employees to securely access different resources. And so these are just a couple of things that we have the ability to do to better safeguard the small business. Questions and answers. That's the best part of the whole thing. What do you got for me? Stan.
I'll start.
Sure.
So first of all, thank you, Stephen. I think this
Certainly.
is terrific for the small. I had no idea how affected the small business sector is by cyber threats. A few things. What could a small business do to engage, and which part of your solution would be approachable for a small business? So say one of the things we did as part of the NJCRC is we did cyber risk assessments of businesses that were less than 500,000 in annual revenue, 500,000 US dollars. So I think about them, and could they approach CrowdStrike as a solution to help their environment?
Yeah,
and what would that solution be, and is it something they can actually do themselves, or would CrowdStrike help them, for example?
Sure. So yes, we certainly do cover the SMB. Gosh, our product set is so wide and vast, and so I really think it depends on what type of business you're in. Some businesses are going to have different compliances than others, and different compliances are going to lead to what types of products are going to be most important to the SMB. I think that what makes us who we are at the core is endpoint, threat intelligence, and services. And so we lead there with all things. And so whenever I meet with somebody, regardless of size of business, one of the first things that I talk about is, let's talk about your incident response, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And if you don't have anything put into place there, you're kind of a sitting duck. Do you have cyber insurance? So we usually start there too. If you don't have cyber insurance is something that you probably want to look into. It's pretty comparable to monthly payments on car insurance. And so to the SMB, depending on which provider you go through, it's really important. I think, I was talking to Greg earlier, but there's a whole lot of what we do, but the basics, blocking and tackling, I think is really important, and we do that really well. And so having really good AV, it's like having a deadbolt on your door, right? If you don't have one, you're already at a disadvantage. EDR, I love it because it's DVR, and so you're recording everything after the fact that you have the ability to go through and look at it. I think one of the things that separates us from other security companies and vendors that provide endpoint is that we were born an intelligence company, and intelligence is what enriches everything that we do. And I think a lot of small businesses don't quite understand that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of adversary groups that are sitting in a room just like this right now, somewhere across the world, and they're strategically planning on how they're going to identify and attack a specific business. And it's hard to believe that the SMB is somebody that's a target, but the truth is they're the easiest target. And so basics of blocking and tackling is, I think, the most important. Starting with antivirus and EDR is always a really great place. You can get engaged with CrowdStrike pretty easily. You go on our website, you request to somebody to contact you, and you'll get an SMB account executive to reach out to you. And then when you speak to them, I encourage you to ask them to take you through the platform and go through like a full robust demo. It's usually about an hour long, but it'll be a really great use of your time to give you an idea of all the different elements of CrowdStrike and what we do. Then from there, based on your business needs, you can kind of pick and choose a la carte, which works best, or you can kind of narrow yourself into a specific bundle where, you get a couple different modules inclusive for usually a better price if you buy multiple. So.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi.
How do you advise the micro business who has a tech platform, it's safe on AWS? What do you say?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
As a small business
Yep.
with a tech platform, wholly reliant on AWS to provide all those security protocols and features that I need,
Sure.
what's your advice?
So AWS is an integrated partner of ours, and so that's a really good question. Do you work with an MSSP currently or an MSP provider?
No.
No. Okay. That's a takeaway that I'm going to have to get back with you. It's not one that gets often asked of me, but I would imagine that you'd likely want to work through some type of MSP. We could probably speak after this if you'd like to see which MSP partners that we can connect you to. But that would probably be my best answer is let's connect you to an MSP and see what's possible, and then if you'd want to be paying with it with AWS credits or no. Like if you were to buy CrowdStrike or any other product, would you be using AWS credits or?
Ideally, right?
Okay.
Save money.
Absolutely. And so that's no problem. We work with a lot of great MSP partners where we can two-tier between them and you can still utilize your AWS credits. And so, yeah, after I'm done, I'm happy to talk you through it if you'd like. Certainly. Hi. Yes, sir. You?
All right, Steve. How are you?
You want-
Quantum. So, considering the context that just recently, the other day, 22-bit quantum encryption, RSA and AES was cracked using quantum. How is CrowdStrike prepared moving into the next phase of quantum protection? And then as a secondary question, when are you guys buying a nuclear reactor like everybody else?
So the first question is most likely way above my pay grade. And if there's anybody who'd have any remote chance of answering it, it's the guy with the great hair right behind you, seated in the middle, and that's my engineer, Mark. And so if anything, we could always take that off to the side, and if he's got any know-how on that's definitely something that we could talk through. Nuclear reactor, oh man, I have to ask George Kurtz on Slack that one later. And so.
Well, there's an extra one, I think, on 3 Mile Island.
What's that?
3 Mile Island?
Oh, okay.
An extra one.
Oh, yeah, we'll just have to go buy it. I think we have $6 billion or something like that, so I'll just go pick one up. Hi, miss.
Hi. I have a follow-on question to Stan's question.
Sure.
Because actually I was doing those cyber risk assessments for these small businesses. How about support for businesses that are one person, 2 people,
Oh, yeah.
4 or 5 people? CrowdStrike still provides that. I mean, their network is 2 or 3 laptops, maybe a printer scanner, maybe a video camera, that's about it.
Certainly. So for the small business that doesn't have a lot of manpower, depending on how many endpoints you actually have, I might say Falcon Complete would be what's best for the small business. It's something that I prevalently sell and consult to on the enterprise that has 20 people for 20,000 endpoints. So similar capacity, and so that's our fully managed offering, which has the ability to have our in-house experts, an average of 10 years experience for our analysts to be able to help you fully customize policy, playbook, tune, configure everything within your environment. And so if having manpower is an issue, Falcon Complete's something that can help augment that. Sometimes you sit back and you look at a cost-benefit analysis of hiring 5 more people, and you say, okay, well, I could hire 5 more people to do this for me, but how do I know the quality of the 5 people I'm going to hire? Respectfully, if you're going to hire somebody, it's probably not the kid right out of school immediately that you want to hire, right? You will probably want somebody to have a little bit of experience to put your business's, most important needs inside of it. And so I think that having a managed service probably helps when it comes to manpower augment. You're going to find somebody to help you deliver what's most important to you at the highest level possible. And so for somebody who doesn't have that many people, that's probably what I would say this direction I go.
Yeah, because these businesses they're focusing on growing their business. So security is important to them, but it's a matter of affordability, and especially when there's only, like 1 or 2, and even 1-person businesses, they need to have that it's small support still, but be able to afford it. That's what I was asking.
Affordability, it's always important, and I know that cybersecurity products aren't cheap. I think if I was a one-man band and I had maybe 1 assistant, like you said, a printer, I'd probably want to educate myself on how I can be most resilient by myself until I start to grow the business. And so I think we start back at the education piece, which is, everything. If you can start to educate yourself on best practices early, as you start to grow your footprint and bring on more employees, from there you can start to look at some of the additional services. Budget is everything, and procurement is important for that. And so, but thank you. I think that's my time. May I have room for one more question? Sir?
I have a question. I see that you work with some of the largest manufacturing, automotive, food businesses as well. I can understand your solution from working with IT equipment, laptops, computers, things like that. But how do you protect IoT devices? Anything that's connected to the network.
Yeah. So
what do you do?
Yeah, so we can protect Internet of Things devices. When you look here, we start down here at the single lightweight agent, and this starts to grow throughout here. And so as we start to kind of grow across our security stack internally, you start to take a look at all the different product sets, but IT automation, intelligence, exposure management, data protection, they all integrate together. And so Falcon Fusion has the ability to help deliver that together. And so I think that if you'd like, we can have you come across our booth, and I can talk with you a little bit more with Mark, and we can kind of give you a better idea about how we're protecting the Internet of Things.
That's good.
Thank you. That's my time. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you.